Okay. Hi. Hi, love. Great to see you after a long time.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. But there has been a slight delay on continuing with our CISSP series because of, I'll say, bad health. So, entire team was down
Yeah,
and out.
yeah,
So we had to take a pause, you know. So that's what we did. We took a pause. It's always good to pause in life and get ahead.
right, right.
So, love, what we will do today is we will continue with our episode 9, which is going to be, domain 5. So, why don't you
Okay.
put the link on our group so that people can
Yeah,
join and we'll
sure,
continue with
sure, sure.
uh, our session.
Yeah,
So, for those who are watching, we are joining the stream live for continuing our CISSP sessions. What we do is we take each domain, uh, you know, almost every day. We discuss questions, we discuss topics, and we throw out questions which will help you in understanding CISSP topics. So once we are done with CISSP, love, I think we will give a shot to ISO 27001, right? And that would be that's where love will lead the show, right? He's one of the most wanted ISMS mentor in the industry. And once we're done with CISSP, I think we'll start with our ISO series. What do you say, love?
yeah, sir. Definitely looking forward. Yeah,
Okay, so great. So people are joining, and we will start with our domain 5 today. So domain 5, love, is all about uh, you know identity and access management. So I think we finished up to domain 4 last time, right? Great.
yes,
So domain
yes.
5 takes care of identity and access management. And as I was discussing with few students yesterday, identity and access management is basically something on which access control is built upon. So once you look at CIA triad, right? The CIA triad is mainly controlled by access control. So once you look CIA, in between sits, access control. And access control will always have, the concept of I, A, and A. That is I and quadruple A. So what access control ultimately ends up is with something called identity and access management. And identity and access management is ruled by the concept of I and quadruple A. That is identification of the subject, authentication by the subject, authorization by the access control system, and then accountability on part of both the subject and object owner, and auditing to see that there is no non repudiation. So there's a very important concept of non repudiation where a subject cannot refuse his actions, right? And that's very important and critical in identity and access management. So that's first part of identity and access management. Now you have to first establish identities, and identities are always enrolled in an organization. So you have to establish identities, you have to verify the identification through government IDs or any physical ID identification documents, and then that enrolling happens with the just a second. Right. So I'm sorry. So what happens is in identification, you first enroll, you register the identity into your systems. That registration will be for two major, systems in your organization. First will be for physical systems because you need physical access to premises, and second will be logical systems. That is access to logical systems such as your emails, your applications, CRM, ERP systems, whatever applications you are, dependent on in the organization. So whenever you go to an organization, you'll get two IDs, physical ID and a logical ID. And generally, logical ID is related to your email address, right? There could be also instances where your biometrics is also taken in more critical organizations, generally in government or very, very highly sensitive institutions where, your biometrics can also come in, right? And that's where the authentication factor is coming from. So first identity and second is authentication. Authentication is based on, you know, any earlier we used to talk about three authentication factors. We nowadays talk about four authentication factors. something you know, that is like passwords, something you have, which you have physically or logically, maybe a OTP, and something you are, which is your biometric characteristics. And today we talk about fourth, contextual authentication factor, which is somewhere you are, your IP address, your geolocation, right, your environmental factors, and that becomes part of somewhere zero trust philosophy, right? So once we see that, we domain 5 now deals with something you know, passwords, very weak, okay, weak form of authentication. But now NIST has come up with a new password standard which says passwords should not be rotated regularly, rather make a password long. Okay, so we need to keep up ourselves well informed about things which are happening in the environment and security
Right.
which
Right.
changes on an everyday basis, right?
Right.
So it's good to know what are the password standards from NIST. Now
Yeah.
there's a new standard, and there's almost every standard, like PCI DSS has a very unique standard for passwords, right? And it lays down. So that is something you know. And then you have something you have. So what you have is generally OTPs. What is OTP? Either you have hash based OTPs or time based OTPs. Hash based OTPs are generated by some algorithm. Time based OTPs are generated by some algorithm, but there's a time relation. There will be a clock synchronization between the OTP that is received on your device and the OTP which is generated on the server. And after, if time synchronization does not match, the OTP fails. Right. Also, you have these days physical, devices like YubiKey. Okay. Earlier, I remember 20 years back, we used to use RSA, dynamic token keys, right, to access remote servers. These days, you have something called devices like YubiKey, which are physical authentication devices, and they give you that second factor of authentication. That is something you have. And something you are is basically, you either give your retina scan or palm scan or fingerprints, which are, can be used as third form, but they are used generally in critical places, like you'll see in airports, in your passports. These are the places where you use, biometrics. Generally in organizations, you don't use biometrics unless you are entering a facility of very high security. In data centers, it is used very, very critically. So, what are the risks here? So, in identity, the risk will always be of spoofing. Somebody will try to spoof your identity. So, identity should be spoof proof. And that's why you need so many layers of authentication to prove your
Right.
identity. That's the major concept, right? Now, organizations these days, over a period of time, what happened? If you use 10 applications, you need 10 usernames, 10 passwords, 10 everything. That was very, very cumbersome. So
Right.
over a period of time, single sign-on came in. Okay, so SSO gives you a methodology to sign on using one username and password to sign into multiple applications, and this is possible because of protocols which got developed over a period of time, and one of them was SAML, okay, Security Assertion Markup Language. So SAML was a primary enhancement towards single sign-on implementations. And then we got frameworks. First framework was OAuth. So OAuth
Right.
is a SSO framework implemented using SAML. Okay, and similarly, we have another framework which is called OpenID. OpenID
Right.
works with OpenID Connect, and it's an open source SSO framework which you can implement if you don't want to rely on some other framework. You can
Right.
establish your own authentication servers, identification providers, your own organization identification providers, own authentication servers, and you can integrate with multiple applications which support OpenID. If an application doesn't support OpenID, you can't work with that, right? So that's where SSO comes from. And then you also look into single sign-on on on-premise systems. If you are not cloud agnostic, you're not working on cloud, you're working on multiple applications within your organization. So one of the first technology was LDAP. LDAP used to give you a single sign-on to sign into multiple applications inside your organization. Okay, on top of LDAP, Active Directory came in to establish identity. And once Active Directory came in, what was implemented in Active Directory in AD Microsoft environments was Kerberos. And Kerberos becomes very, very important for CISSP exam. You have to understand how Kerberos works. So Kerberos has two main components, that is the authentication server and a KDC. And you authenticate to the KDC. KDC gives you some tokens. With those tokens, you communicate with the authentication server, and then finally the authentication servers grant you a token by which you use, you assign into various applications. Earlier, Kerberos did not have some vulnerabilities, but over a period of time, there are a lot of vulnerabilities which have been noticed, and amongst them is parse the hash,
Yes.
vulnerability. You have silver ticket vulnerability, golden ticket vulnerability. So you
Yes.
need to keep your systems patched and updated, okay, so that your Kerberos systems does not go out of date.
Right.
So this is majorly what is covered in identity and access management. It's a smaller domain and it can be easily done within a day or so, right? It's now in the back of my mind and I can just rattle it out, right? So what I'll
Perfect.
do today, Love, I'll discuss few questions, okay?
Sure.
Almost 8 to 10
Sure.
questions. And,
Yeah.
it's better to discuss questions and make them familiar, make the
Right.
complete, people familiar as to how to attempt questions. So I'll
Right.
share my screen and we'll do a few questions, right?
Sure. Sure.
So I hope my screen is visible now.
Yet to come, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's coming.
Let's Okay,
Yeah.
great.
It's there.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's do a few questions, right? Right. Let me enable the pen. Right. So an organization is considered creating a cloud-based federation. Okay, this is very light. This is not visible. I'll take a darker shade. Yeah, a cloud-based federation. What do you mean by cloud-based federation? Cloud-based federation means your identity service, who is the identity provider, is on the cloud. Okay, using a third-party service. So this is a third party who's providing you the federated identities. After it's completed, what will people use as their login ID? So can we have answers from uh, everyone? Right? You can tell me that if it is visible because I can't see the screen unless let me see whether I can.
Yeah.
So we have answers rolling in from people. If it happens,
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
why don't you try, Love?
Uh, Let me read the question, sir. Question itself is complicated. Let me start. An organization is considering creating a cloud-based federation using a third-party service to share federated identification. Okay. What will people use as their login ID? I would say single sign-on, sir, directly.
See, single sign-on is the process. You are
Okay.
achieving single sign-on using this. So what
Yes.
it's the question is asking, what will be your user ID?
Ah, user ID. Okay. 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 So we have
So
inputs
user ID
now.
will not be
Abhishek,
different.
Abhishek Verma D, Garud C or D.
Okay, hybrid identity management. No, I don't think so. The account given to them from the cloud-based identity is mine. If I am working for Google, Google has given me Shubhajit at the rate google.com. And now Google has approached Okta that we want that all our users should be able to sign in to multiple applications by using services of Okta. Okta says, okay, fine. You come to me using your normal ID, that is Shubhajit at the rate
Oh.
google.com.
So for them, the
And
ID will
then,
remain the normal ID only.
of course,
Oh. Okay.
now, how to see this? Okay, once you log into, say, if you are trying to log in into LinkedIn, and LinkedIn says you want to log in using Google, and you say yes. What does Google use? Google uses your normal Google Gmail ID. It does
Hmm.
not create a new ID for you
Right.
unless you sign in on LinkedIn with a different username and password.
Right.
That's the concept of single sign-on. Okay,
Hmm.
so A is the answer. Let's go to the next question. So security administrators have learned that users are switching between two passwords. We do it very common, right? We put one password and then second password and then we keep switching, right? To fool the systems because we want passwords to be easy. Okay. When the system prompts them to change their password, they use the second password. When they use the symptom, when the system prompts them to change their password again, they use the first password. Now, this is something which we used to keep doing with our banking accounts, every time, because it's cumbersome to keep remembering passwords every time you change them. What can prevent users from rotating between two passwords?
Everybody for B, sir. Abhishek, L Kilari, Garud Gaming, everybody for B.
Very right. So you need to have some kind of a history to check that user is not using last five passwords. Very correct.
Now, sir, isn't history and age the same thing?
No, password age is my password age is for last 3 months. My password has been the same. That's the password age. That my password has
Okay,
been same for last 3 months.
okay.
History means my password was this password was used already two times or already once.
Ah, okay, okay. Got it, got it.
Right. Next question. Right. So here the OTP is changing once every 60 seconds. A
Mm-hmm,
server hosted within the organization knows what is this password is at any given time. What
mm-hmm.
type of device is this? Is it a common access card? It doesn't look like a card. Is it a smart card? Doesn't look like a smart card.
No,
So these two answers, in CISSP also you will do this. Two answers will just not match.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody for A, sir.
Well, I'm
Everybody
telling
for
you, in
A.
CISSP exam, you will not find questions like this. It will be very, very. CISSP questions are just not possible. It's impossible for me to replicate. The only
Right,
way is the technique. The technique is once you have read what is it asking, you have to find those two incorrect answers and just rule them out. And then your
right.
choice remains between two answers, right? Now,
Mhm.
what are systems which are based on time? Are they synchronous or asynchronous?
Synchronous, I would say.
So whenever you relate something with time, they are synchronous, right?
Fazil Siddiqui. Thank you. Yeah, A. Everybody is for A, sir. Yeah,
Yeah, asynchronous systems, they have start or stop bit. The moment I say start, you start. The moment I say
yeah.
stop, you stop. There is no time correlation, right? So Sally has a user account and has previously logged on using a biometric system, maybe some kind of fingerprint. Today, the biometric system did not recognize her, so she wasn't able to log on. What does this describe?
Come on, guys.
Does
This
this?
is easy. Try. Let them try, sir. 1 second.
Yeah. There's a delay also. I understand that.
Yeah. A. Okay. Everybody for A, sir.
Ah, of course, this is very easy. False rejection. But you should know what is false acceptance. False acceptance is someone who's not authorized gets in. False acceptance.
Yeah.
Crossover error means what is the relation between a system? What is, how do you judge the effectiveness of a system? FAR versus FRR. So generally,
Right.
biometric systems are measured using something called crossover error rate.
In the middle. Yeah. Yeah.
There is nothing called equal error. Okay.
Right.
This is for confusing people.
Right.
Now let's see. This is a CISSP type question. Though it won't be like this, it's basically to see do you understand the management perspective.
Okay. Abhishek Verma for A.
For A, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Faraz Siddiqui A. Fazil Siddiqui A.
okay,
El Kilari A.
okay, Okay, can fingerprints be counterfeited? I've seen it in movies, but in real life, how easy or difficult it is to counterfeit a fingerprint?
I would say it's not easy, that much easy that anybody can do that, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, it was done in a movie of Van Damme where I
Yeah.
remember this movie where he takes the fingerprint and puts some glue or, Fevicol and then, come on,
Yeah.
man. Unless somebody
It's
gets
not
physical
not
access,
that easy.
is
Yeah.
management concerned with that? Okay, I'll give you a situation, right? This is your, this is the gate of your facility, okay?
Hmm.
And this is the gate and it's open using a biometrics. Okay, your CEO comes here, stands here, puts his fingerprint, door doesn't open. Okay, behind them you came, some other came, and one came, one more came. 100 employees are standing in line so that this opens.
Yeah. It happens also. I've seen it.
I have seen it. We have
Yeah,
seen
it
it in the
happens.
metro
Yeah.
stations, right? You're
Yeah, yeah,
putting
it
your
happens.
card and
Yeah.
it's not opening.
It knows it doesn't. Sometimes it rejects you. Yeah.
So the CEO is gonna get very, very angry on you, love, and he's gonna fire you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Because the registration takes too long.
Yeah. Definitely. We have to keep the CEO happy. Right.
Right. It's not that you have to keep you happy, it's just first of all, what I'm trying to say is every day people start lining up on your biometric. What is the
Yeah.
amount of productive time you're going to waste? So what
Exactly.
will
It
happen is
does
people
take
will
time.
tell you,
It does take time.
yeah,
Yeah.
people will tell that you chose a wrong biometric system
Right.
because registration takes so much of time.
Hmm.
Okay, I remember when we were getting our Aadhaar card made outside Aadhaar center, people will keep lining up because that machine used to take upwards of 2 minutes to take the fingerprint. Any biometric system, if its registration is more than 2 minutes, is not considered a good system. Okay,
Okay.
and that standard has now almost come down to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Now this is talking about registration. Registration is the first time, when first time you register yourself. Okay,
Right.
repeated ones are not registration. So say your company has 1,000 employees and you are trying to register them and your CEO is standing for 2 minutes.
Hmm.
1,000 employees into 2 minutes, 2,000 minutes. 2,000 minutes, you can calculate how many days it will take you to only, you know, enroll people.
Right. Right.
Not an efficient system, right? And that's the logic.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, whenever you grant access, you have to give them access based on certain principles. One of them is implicit deny, one is least privilege, one is need to know. What do you mean by implicit deny? This is a confusing question. All actions that are not expressly denied are allowed. All actions that are not expressly allowed are denied. All actions must be expressly denied. None of the above.
I would say C, sir. I would say C.
Okay.
Okay. Fazil Siddiqui B.
All the
A.
actions that are not expressly allowed are denied. That means
Okay.
I have access to email, I have access to this. Rest all, CRM and all, I am not allowed, so I am denied.
Abhishek Verma B. El Kilari C. Garur Gaming C. Half of them are with me, half of them on their own. I don't know, sir.
Okay, so none of the above is definitely not there.
Yeah, that's
All
not true.
actions,
That's not true.
yeah,
Yeah.
all actions that are not expressly denied are allowed. That seems illogical.
Yeah.
All actions that are not expressly allowed are denied seems logical.
Right.
But you know what is implicit deny? Implicit deny means you might be anyone, you're not allowed.
Yeah. Right.
That means all
C.
actions must be expressly denied. Nothing is allowed unless now a process starts for, most of the time we go to organizations, we get rolled in, we can't access the email. Then we go to the, our manager and say, hey, I can't access the email. Well, okay, fine, I'll write a mail. Now you write a mail, and then that mail is approved, and then only your first day given access to the email. Then you need access to the CRM. Then you again go to your manager, say, hey, listen, my work is customer relations management. If I don't have, how do I do it? right? So it is
Right.
C.
Right. Right.
Okay. Okay, so you are reviewing access control models. Okay, so there are many kind of access control models. Some are discretionary, some are non-discretionary, and some are mandatory. Discretionary is on the discretion of the object owner.
Yeah.
Non-discretionary means there is no object owner. There is some central agency based on which access is given. Okay, allows the owner of an object to grant privileges. So
Yeah.
owner is choosing who to give access. What is it called? Love?
B. B. Discretionary.
Okay, great. Very nice. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Because I knew
obvious.
from the owner, it is simple. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, confusing. But I gave you the answer. A central authority determines. That means some kind of someone is someone is deciding on basis of what access should be given.
Would it be D then?
I don't know.
Uh,
Let's see what all people answer and with what logic.
People are coming with C. Abhishek Verma
Okay.
C. L. Kilari C.
Okay. Now, central authority, right? Whenever central authority determines access, how can it determine access? Okay. Now, it can determine access on two bases. Putting people into different roles,
Right.
right? And these roles then have access to their resources, right?
Right.
And the authority decides who goes into where.
Right. Into which
Admin
bucket?
goes
Right.
into
Right.
admin, user goes into user.
Right.
This is authority. Who's authority? Authority might be IT, authority might be HR,
Yeah.
right? So should it be rule based or role based?
I would say D.
Very right. Why? Because in rule based, central authority does not decide. Rules are created by
Hmm.
object owners.
Right.
Confused. Rules are created by. So if I am the owner of the firewall,
Hmm.
okay, and I am the owner of the firewall, I set the rules. Who's allowed, who's not allowed. Whereas in role based, the central authority puts you into a role. You are admin
Right.
or you are a user. Okay,
Right.
little confused.
Right.
This is a good question. If you know a little bit about SDN. Right. So SDN, what is an SDN? Software defined network. That means these are the network devices.
Yeah.
There's a router, there is a switch. Okay, something is there. So SDN, in SDN, you don't interact with the hardware directly. There is a software
Right.
layer. And to deal with the software layer,
Hmm.
right, you have applications.
Right.
Okay. That's how an SDN works. So customer support will have access to some applications. Customers will have application access to some applications. Network managers will have access to some applications. Security guys will have access to some applications. Okay. And the software layer decides access based on mandatory. No, in mandatory you have labels. In role based you have admins, everything. But in software layer, admins don't directly deal with the software layer. The applications deal, and applications give you access based on context, where you are, who you are, what is your IP, which is your device,
And these
and
are
those
attributes. Yeah.
Cannot be decided by role or discussion. Those can
Right.
only be decided by attributes.
Yeah. Everybody is right, sir. Everybody answered this right.
Very right, very right. Okay. And I think this is the last question, I guess. Yeah.
This one is easy, sir.
Huh? Which of the following actions cannot identify the upper and lower bounds of access for subjects with labels? I think I just gave the answer.
Yeah.
What is it?
Mac, na? B.
Yeah. Why? I always say, whenever you answer, you should say why. See, mandatory means what? Say, I'm an army guy, right? I'm an ex-army guy, right? So when I was a CO, I was given a clearance of top secret. Okay. Now, because I had a clearance of top secret, only I could access top secret documents.
Right.
Anybody under me was not able to access them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I had the label, I could not access them. And if this has a label, this also has a label.
Right.
So then only I used to get. So this makes it mandatory that unless I have the label, I cannot access the document, and that's why it's a
Right.
mandatory access control. Right.
Right.
So I'm done with today's session. I was back after a long time. We will have a session tomorrow, and then again we have a long holiday season coming up. So wish you all a very happy Christmas and long holidays. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed the session today, and see you all the next time. Any feedbacks, you can let us know.
Or any questions if you have, we are here. Let's stay for
If you
another
have any questions,
10.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
let's stay
will
for another
stay
10, 20
for
seconds.
if anybody has some questions, right?
Yeah. Sir, one thing from me. Anybody who is preparing, so the syllabus of CISSP is very vast. How to
Yes.
do, like, what to do for the, when you have 2 days left, what to do? What are the last 2 days for somebody who's preparing for the exam?
Love, what I say is, CISSP is a repetitive preparation. So in your first preparation cycle, you
Hmm.
go through the content because it's so vast, and you
Yes.
identify your weaknesses. And how do you identify
Okay.
weaknesses? You've done your studies, you attempt the questions behind Cybex, and you start doing answers correctly, and you start doing answers incorrectly. Your incorrect
Yes.
answers are your weak areas.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Note them down. Now
Okay.
you've done the entire Cybex, you have come out with your weak areas. Now, the second revision, you should do focusing on those weak areas. Not that you should ignore your strength areas, but your focus should be on those weak areas which you have identified.
Right. Right.
That becomes your second preparation cycle. And
Right.
after preparation of second preparation cycle, I always recommend you to do Cybex fourth edition, which is
Right.
roughly 1300 questions. Again, you follow the same pattern. You do all the questions, you see where you've gone right, where you've gone wrong, and wherever you've gone wrong, you see why did you go wrong, and that those become your weak areas. And next, in your third preparation cycle, you clear out this weak preparation, and then you are left with 2 or 3 days. In last 2 days, just do nothing. It's a
Okay.
long game. You're prepared, you're
Yes.
ready. In last 2 days,
Yes.
maybe you go watch some videos, clear out some concepts, do few questions on the Learns app,
Okay.
and see.
Andrew Ramdale, maybe. Maybe Andrew Ramdale's video for the last 2 days.
Yeah, maybe Andrew Ramdayal.
Yeah.
You can go on our Google YouTube page and do that.
Right. Right.
I think too much of is not good. I feel you should be
Okay.
relaxed. But
Okay.
one big thing which I want to tell you is last day your study should finish at 12 o'clock. Whatever you want to do it till 12 o'clock. After 12 p.m., you should sleep. You should go for a walk. You play. I played a game of tennis for 2 hours. Okay.
Wow.
I sweated out completely. And next day, and I slept nicely. Next morning, I wake up, went to the exam, finished the exam, I think in 15 minutes. Okay. Right.
Wow. 50.
So once I finished the exam in 50 minutes, I was like, okay, the most wonderful love, I'll say, uh, I've ever mentored someone is a lady called Bhavika Jan. Okay, she just put a small, mention on LinkedIn. She prepared for 17 days, one
Only
seven.
17 days. Only 17 days. Yeah.
Only, no, she's
Only.
experienced. I'm not saying she's
Yeah.
not. prepared earlier. But she came to me, rushed to me, and said, "Sir, my exam is booked for 7th of January. I don't have time." I said, "Then we are not left with the option." So I said, "Fine,
Yeah.
let's do it." So what she did was she went through my videos, okay, my recorded lectures. She went through it and she finished Cybex religiously. Mind it, she's got a 2-year-old kid and a
Yeah.
job run. And
Right.
hats off to that lady who prepared what I said. I said just focus on Sabex and nothing else. She read 21 chapters religiously. She did those 20 questions behind Sabex. She followed those weak area concept. Then she did on last, we were left with 4 days and I was so worried. So 4 days, she says, "Sir, what do I do?" I said, "Now do Cybex fourth edition." She did Cybex fourth edition religiously within 3 days, and she said, "These are my weak areas." She evaluated her weak areas. She did it again, and last in one day, she went through 40 hours of my lecture in 2x speed. Lala,
Yes.
that's what we did. And I said, "You will sleep for 6 to 8 hours." With a small baby, which is 2 years, who gets 6 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
Hats off. She goes next day, gives the exam, calls me, she says, "Sir, I didn't pass." I said, "If you've not passed, why are you calling me?"
So true. So true.
Right. So, and then she said, "No, no, sir, I've passed." So I said, I was very sure you will pass. The way she was dedicated and the way she, put herself into fire. And that's why I said this exam is doable within 30 days if you are, hard work. Now I'm focusing on one more student of mine who has set the target for a particular day. And I do this, I challenge people. It's the army way, I feel. I challenge people. I said, "Let's do it. What at max we'll fail, man. What is there?" And to my best, nobody has failed. So that's why I feel so happy. Everyone who has trained with me or everyone who has listened to my videos, there are people who have watched my videos, gone through my free notes. Oh, by the way, those of you who don't know, I have a free notes series there on my website. Okay, you can download it. I think it is $1 now because the platform does not let us host that file for free. So that is $1 or ₹1. You can download it. It's there on our LinkedIn page, all the 8 domains. That helps you in easy revision, right? Okay, love, I'm done with today's session. Do we have any
Yeah.
questions?
No,
No?
that's it for today.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye bye, and Merry Christmas to everyone. We'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow with Domain 6. Thank you.
Yep. Bye bye.